The Impossible Farm is a custom farm mod so tiny it doesn't even stretch to fill the sides of the screen. It's literally smaller than the little bus stop just outside. With only 18 tiles of farmland, it has less than 1% of the usable space for growing crops compared to the standard farm. I'm going to transform this microscopic plot of land into a thriving farm, and I'm banning myself from placing any items outside of the farm to circumvent my available space. My main goal will be to complete the community center, forcing me to find ways to grow crops and keep animals on a farm the size of a studio apartment. To keep things interesting, I'll also chip away at a broad range of completionist tasks, such as filling out the collection logs for shipping items and catching fish. I'll also try to befriend every villager and complete all the monster eradication goals. I can't get everything done by the time I finish the community center, but I'd love to disprove the idea that it's impossible to play Stardew Valley on this very restrictive farm. It's a bit small, but let me give you the tour of the farm now that I've cleared out some of the debris. The farm cave actually looks kind of spacious in comparison to everything else. I also found a secret cave entrance for a few bonus tiles of space up top. While the main exit to the bus stop is on the right side of the farm, there's also an exit to the backwoods tucked in on the left side, as well as another exit to Cindersap Forest and a minecart that teleports you to the narrow strip of land at the bottom of the farm. Since I'll be spending several seasons on the tiny farm for this video, I won't hyper-optimize things like I do in my stricter challenge runs. I won't be re-attempting my days all the time to see if I can get a better result. Part of playing such a restrictive farm is to force myself to slow down a step and enjoy exploring everything the game has to offer, and maybe my attempts to do a little bit of everything will make things more relatable to how people typically play. By the end of my first day, I chopped enough wood to craft a chest and have 300 pieces left over. I had enough energy for the day's work by eating wild forage and buying salad from the saloon, and that was enough to reach level 2 foraging. Day 2, I've now unlocked fishing, which is a great way to make money outside of the tiny farm. However, my usual strategies to maximize fishing gains won't work very well with my restrictions. I'm not allowed to place down a chest outside of the farm, so I'll have to carefully manage my limited inventory space. I also like to place down a bait maker alongside a few fish smokers right at my favorite fishing spots to process fish as I go for maximum efficiency, but I can't place items outside. If I get myself some fish smokers, I'll need to leave them at home, which will make it slow and difficult to process a large catch. I'd like to get enough money to upgrade my fishing rod before Willie closes up shop for the day, but I'm coming up short. Thankfully, I've brought 300 wood with me to repair the bridge to the tide pools, and those corals and sea urchin will sell for good money. I'll need another sea urchin to show up eventually, since one's required to craft a bait maker, but I'm likely to find one in a week or so, and I'd like the money to buy a rod and bait so the fish bite more frequently. I got some good loot from fishing up treasure chests today, reeling in a diamond late at night. Nice. By spending the whole day fishing, I reached level 4 all in one go. Day 3. One upside of a very tiny farm is that I can take the south exit to the forest in just a few steps, which quickly gets me to a prime fishing spot for catfish. They sell for good money, but I will admit they're super annoying to catch at a low fishing level, but they only appear when it's raining and I don't want to lose an opportunity. This spot of the forest river is quite nice for fishing, and it's a short walk back home if I need to clear up some inventory space. I'll plan to sell my valuable gold star catfish, but I may as well save any lower quality catfish for whenever I happen to get a bait maker, since using catfish bait to catch and smoke catfish is definitely going to be the best moneymaker during spring. I hit level 6 fishing today, which means I can now sell my catfish for extra money. Day 4. I took my catfish down to Willie's shop to sell, then restocked on bait. With plenty of money left over, I'm very happy to purchase a backpack upgrade since I need to carry everything I need with me. I can't just drop a chest down by the elevator in the mines. I'd like to start upgrading my tools, since not only is my farm tiny, it's covered in large stumps and logs I want to clear out so I can actually use the available space. I purchased enough copper ore to make a furnace as well as the copper bars to upgrade my axe, then realized I have no hope of putting in for a tool upgrade today. Normally I'd slap down my first furnace right here, but I had to walk all the way home to put down a furnace, so by the time I've made 5 bars for a tool upgrade he'll have closed up shop for the day. Damn. This'll have to wait for tomorrow. I spent the rest of the day fishing and hit level 7. Day 5. My first little crop of parsnips have grown in, but there are so few of them I didn't even hit level 1 farming. I went to Clint to request an upgrade for my axe to help clear out space on my farm, and earned myself some seeds to plant as a reward from the museum. I've been earning artifacts and minerals from fishing, as well as opening geodes, also obtained from fishing. I spent the rest of my money on more seeds. I need to plant a few crops for the community center bundles, and I'm also interested in planting extras so I can ship one of each crop for the collection log. Additionally, I figure I'll keep an eye out for any crops involved in cooking recipes. I don't have enough room to grow all my seeds. I only have 18 tiles of plantable dirt on the farm, and 7 of those are blocked off by stumps and logs. That's why I'm upgrading my axe right away. After getting my farm set up, I spent the rest of the day making progress in the mines, which just opened up today. Day 6. I'm going to start handing out gifts to villagers if I have any of their favorites on hand. I don't have much yet, but once I start regularly mining up gemstones, that'll account for a handful of villagers' preferences. I went back to the mines for the day and progressed 20 more floors. The skill levels are also really starting to roll in. Day 7 is a rainy day, so I'll make some money by catching catfish. I don't have a bait maker yet since I haven't found another sea urchin, so I can't guarantee I'll hook catfish. But I do need the money to keep upgrading my tools since steel tools will cost me 5,000 gold each. Today is also Lewis's birthday. I don't have any of his favorite gifts, but he does like parsnips. While I wasn't lucky enough to get a bait maker in time for today, I did get very lucky and found a treasure chest in my treasure chest. Those sell for 5,000 gold, and they're not common at all. What a find. And in what might be the most ridiculous thing that happened to me in hundreds of hours of Stardew Valley, I got another treasure chest from the very next fish I caught, back to back. I should buy a lottery ticket. I was just here to catch an eel for the community center bundles. Unrelated, I also hit level 8 fishing today. Day 8. I picked up my copper axe from Clint yesterday, so let's clear out some of those large stumps on the farm and unlock that southern section of land. There's only 2 tiles of dirt I can plant down here, but this area is large enough to fit an entire building once I start constructing coops and barns to keep animals. I still can't make it to the lower left corner, since I need a steel axe to crack those big logs. I can't go mining while Clint is busy upgrading my pick, so I spent most of the day fishing in the mountain lake. The money kicked in from selling those treasure chests, so I feel pretty rich right now. Day 9. I'd like to start working on the community center bundles since I figure I can complete a couple of them and unlock the boiler room, which is the first room I can reasonably complete. I need 200 wood to finish the construction bundle, so I'm gathering that now. Speaking of foraging, that skill is going to be super annoying to train. I'd like to raise my skills to level 10, well, maybe not farming, but without the ability to plant trees outside of the farm, and very little space on the farm, it's going to take a long time to level up foraging. I will try and grow some trees around the edges of my farm, but those I want to keep since I'm not allowed to place tappers on trees outside my property. Once I was done gathering wood, I took my axe to Clint to get a steel axe made. I then went to the community center and put in the spring foraging bundle as well as the construction bundle. It's a start. I went mining for a while, but somehow got stuck on floor 39 for hours. I broke every rock, but I couldn't find a staircase anywhere and just gave up. Maybe it was hiding in the shadows, but I tried walking into every dark corner looking for stairs and came up empty. I wish I had a torch. It wasn't a complete disaster though, since I did find an ancient seed in the mines today. I also hit level 4 foraging when gathering wood. Day 10. Mining went much better today, since I found staircases super fast this time, instead of slow to not at all. It's also Vincent's birthday today, so I took a break to give him a flower. I spent the rest of the day in the mines earning plenty of iron and coal, as well as mining level 4 in Combat 3. Day 11. After some morning mining, I went to Clint to get my pickaxe upgraded to steel, which is the last upgrade I'll need in order to free up all the space available on my farm, and I'd like to put every tile to use if I can. Now that I've picked up my brand new steel axe, let's take it for a spin and reveal some additional farmland. I've also broken through and I can now access the extra space on the bottom left, which might just be big enough for one of the smaller buildings. It's so dark out I'm practically blind, but I now have access to the secret woods thanks to my steel axe, which is going to be my only reliable source of hardwood and continual foraging experience once I've run out of trees to chop down. I finally reached level 1 farming today by growing a single potato. Whoopee! Day 12. I'm loading up my inventory with a huge batch of items to bring to the community center. Not enough to complete any one bundle, but it's progress. There's a ton of coral over by the tide pools, but it's been 10 days and still no sea urchin. I'm really regretting selling one back on day 2 when I was super broke and needed money for bait. It's around a 20% chance for an urchin to show up overnight, so I'm just getting really unlucky. I spent the rest of the day fishing the lake since Clint's currently working on my pickaxe, which was enough for me to hit level 9 fishing. Day 13 is the Egg Festival, and I do plan to attend every festival. I'll pick up a couple of strawberry seeds for completion's sake, Then teach the local kids the true meaning of competitive spirit by obliterating them in the egg hunt. Joy and whimsy have no room in my blackened heart. I would never let a child win. I went chopping before falling asleep and hit level 5 foraging. Not a bad milestone for a slow skill. Day 14. Today is Haley's birthday, so I'll head into town and give out some gifts. I also picked up my steel pickaxe from Clint, so mining is back on the table. I don't have Haley's favorite gifts, but a gold star daffodil isn't a bad choice. I spent the evening in the mines making 20 more floors of progress. I kept encountering monster-infested floors, so it's a good thing I found a suitable weapon in the wooden mallet, and I also grabbed a pretty useful bone sword late in the day. I hit level 4 combat and level 5 mining from the day's adventure, which is a nice boost to the ore drop from rocks. Day 15. It's going to rain again tomorrow, so I'll aim to finish up level 10 fishing, then try to hook the legend. I wasn't far off level 10, and by 5 PM I maxed out my first skill. My skill levels are coming along nicely, but you can tell that farming is a little bit behind. I'm working steadily on farming, I just can't do much since I've already planted all the available space. With extra time left in the day, I went to go get some more progress done in the mines. I was seconds away from passing out, but I managed to craft a staircase and hit a checkpoint right before the day ended. Hitting level 10 fishing today means fish are even more valuable, which would be great, but I still don't have a bait maker. Day 16. I've got big plans for today. First off, after hitting the deep section of the mines, I've gathered the materials to complete all 3 bundles for the boiler room. That's the first community center room complete, but the others are going to take a lot longer if all the seasonal items involved. I'm also going to pay 5,000 gold to complete just one of the vault bundles. That's a lot of money for me at this point, but I really need the reward from this. Quality fertilizer. The chance to get high quality crops is dependent on your farming level, and mine is very low. This means that the quality crops bundle is kind of a nightmare, because I don't have enough room to grow big fields of these crops, and getting top quality produce is really unlikely. Quality fertilizer should make things possible. I went to Willie's shop to sell fish I saved from yesterday, and bought myself an upgraded rod, some tackle, and fishing boosting food so I can attempt to catch the legend. It got away the first time, but I soon hooked it a second time, and got into a prolonged tense battle with way more near fails than I was really comfortable with. It took a full minute of fighting, which felt like 5, but I did eventually succeed. I'm not going to sell the legend like I usually do. I think it would be a lot of fun to treat my little farm like any other farm and squeeze in a diverse set of buildings, and that includes finding room for a fish pond. I don't have much space, but most of it can't be used for farming anyway, so I may as well build something. I spent the rest of my day trying for catfish. I'll do my best to stop complaining about the bait maker thing. Please send me a sea urchin in the mail. I'm desperate. Day 17. I went mining today and got a really good find, the Holy Blade. The Crusader enchantment gives it a 50% damage boost against the void spirits deep in the mines, and I wanted to slay 150 of those anyway to unlock my favorite ring, the Savage Ring. Void spirits are also great monsters for training combat experience. After a day of mining, I hit level 6 mining, a very important unlock as I can now craft bombs, as well as level 5 combat. Day 18. I've got the money on hand now, so I'm interested in making a fish pond, but I need to grab a couple pieces of seaweed real quick since that's one of the required building materials. There's actually a little bit more room on the farm than it first appears, and a couple of the tiles hidden under the leaves are walkable and buildable space, and there's a perfectly sized 5x5 square I can squeeze a pond into. I'll use that pond to house my legend, since Legend Row make good money. Now that I have the ability to craft bombs, reaching the bottom of the mines is light work. I won't go all the way though, since reaching floor 120 permanently strengthens all monsters, and there's no need to collect the skull key until I can actually use it upon unlocking the desert. Since I don't need to go any deeper, I can now spend my time in the mines repeatedly resetting floors to farm iron ore to make explosives, or I can also search for void spirits for unlocking the Savage Ring. Day 19. A bunch of my crops have come in, so I can finally get level 2 farming. I'm also going to put down some quality fertilizer and replant some parsnips in an attempt to prepare for the quality crops bundle. Speaking of bundles, I have some items to turn in, such as a spring crops bundle, and I managed to get all of the items for the crab pot bundle without any crab pots, since 4 of them can just wash up on the beach and crabs can drop from the mines. I'm also still steadily working on background tasks like donating to the museum and giving out gifts wherever it's convenient. I think my next big goal, however, should be securing a genuinely good income, so I'm going to drop 10k on the fish smoker recipe and start gathering the materials I need to craft several of them. It's a bit limiting to leave them at home instead of bringing them with me, but smoking catfish from one day's worth of fishing can easily pull in 40k gold. I'll need to get my hands on some rare jellies to craft fish smokers. I have plenty of freshwater river jelly, but zero cave jelly or sea jelly. I want to fish on floor 100 of the mines. The rates for cave jelly aren't high, but it's around 5%, which is much higher than fishing floor 20 or 60. There's also a 5% chance or so to hook a lava eel, which is over 3 times as valuable as a catfish, just annoyingly rare and difficult to catch. Fishing went really well, and I landed myself 4 cave jellies before falling asleep. I just need to get my hands on sea jelly. Day 20. My fish pond's construction is complete, so let's toss in the legend. I have a few tasks for today, starting with cracking open a few dozen geodes I've been saving up. In what's starting to feel like a trend of rare and unusual events, I got a prismatic shard from an Omni Geode, which I believe is 1 in 250. That's going to be really helpful once I have desert access and can cash it in. I spent a while fishing at the dock since I need sea jelly to craft fish smokers. The catch rate is pretty bad, but I did get one just before 1 PM, and nothing else for the next 6.5 hours. It's Shane's birthday today, so I'll make a trip to the saloon and give out some gifts while people are all in one place. Back at home, I'm excited to start smoking fish, but it's going to have to be one at a time. I do have a backlog of extra catfish to process, so I'll chip away at that. I did a touch of mining before bed since I was out of copper, which brought me to level 7. Day 21. I stumbled across an infested floor in the mines when hunting monsters and thought I could take advantage of this to work on monster eradication goals and train combat experience. So I ran home and set up a cookout kit to make some attack boosting food, which makes a big difference early on. I spent the rest of the day killing what felt like 100 void spirits, getting close to the required 150 and racking up some of their uncommon drops like coal and metal bars. I earned 2 combat levels for my efforts today. I'm also earning a bit of money by smoking fish when I happen to be home, but it's slow going. Day 22. I discovered that my legend fish pond is super inconvenient. I can't tell if it's produced anything for me just by looking, since the leaves are covering up the basket on the right. Side note, getting 3 roe from a legend pond is crazy, since they normally produce 1 when they finally do produce, but all types of fish ponds roll consecutive 20% chances to produce extra roe until that 20% fails, meaning I hit that twice in a row. These will be really valuable if I age them in a preserves jar, but my farming level sucks and I can't craft those yet, so it's tempting to just sell the roe as is if I need the money now. I found a new hat while hunting monsters in the mines. I think I'll wear this one for a while. I also finished slaying void spirits around 1 PM, which is pretty exciting, but the Adventurers Guild isn't open to claim my reward yet, so I'll transition to hunting dust sprites for coal in my next eradication task. I think I should really work towards building more structures on the farm to use all of my space, and owning animals would let me gain more farming experience beyond what I can get by growing crops. Plus, I need a diverse spread of animal products to complete the community center. I'll start by putting up a silo since I clearly don't have any room on the farm for an outdoor pasture, and I'll be feeding my animals exclusively hay. I stopped by the Adventurers Guild to pick up the Savage Ring. It's going to be a huge help, since you get a short but considerable speed boost when taking down monsters, which is really efficient for training combat, filling out monster eradication goals, or diving deep into the Skull Cavern. Day 23. Even with quality fertilizer, my farming level is so low I only have an 18% chance to harvest a gold star parsnip, and I wanted to get 5 of them for the quality crops bundle. I have enough days left in spring for another harvest after today, but I don't have much room to plant and I'm worried about getting screwed over. There is a trick. Crop quality is determined at the start of the day, so you can check which crops are high quality, reload your save file, then only pick the gold star produce and leave the rest in the ground to re-roll new quality levels tomorrow. This is admittedly kind of cheesy, but I don't want to end up locked out of a year 1 community center completion by repeatedly failing to grow quality crops, since the randomness is otherwise not something I can control, and I can't really compensate for it by growing a lot of crops to a higher farming level like everyone else can. I spent the rest of the day in the mines giving the Savage Ring a spin and gathering resources like iron ore, coal, and diamonds. I even hit level 8 mining, since diamonds grant insane amounts of experience. I also made a fair bit of money from smoking fish and selling things I gathered from the mines. Day 24 is the Flower Dance. This festival is required if you're a completionist, since there's a rare crow and a crafting recipe for sale. You need 4 hearts or higher to dance with any of the available bachelors, which earns an extra heart. The only person I met the criteria with is Shane, since he has a spring birthday and is easy to befriend by buying him drinks at the saloon. I hope they don't mind me dancing in a knight's helmet. You'd think they'd provide a uniform. Day 25. Another big benefit of having a fish smoker is that iridium quality smoked fish make for really convenient universal gifts, because they're liked by almost everyone and get a 50% bonus for iridium quality. Time to order another building. I've laid down some wooden paths when decorating my farm to measure how much space I have for buildings while still being able to walk around, and I can squeeze in a coop while just barely giving myself access to the door. I'll never be able to let my chickens outside though, unless they can swim. It's raining tomorrow, so I can get away with a watering can upgrade. I've been manually watering my crops for weeks. I don't have much room for sprinklers and I can't craft the good ones. I'd love to craft a bait maker for tomorrow and reel in 50 more catfish to smoke, but I haven't seen a sea urchin in over 3 weeks. It's just getting ridiculous at this point. I spent a while chopping wood since I'll need plenty to construct a barn and upgrade my existing buildings. Plus, training foraging is going to be a long, slow process, so I'd better chop down trees while they're here, so the next set of trees can grow sooner. I spent the evening grinding combat experience in the mines and hit level 8 combat, a big milestone since explosive ammo for the slingshot is super helpful for mining. Day 26. A sea urchin finally spawned, just in time. It took me over 3 weeks for a 20% chance to happen once. I want to make a ton of money fishing over the last days of spring, since it's also going to rain tomorrow, so I dropped 10k on dress spinners to boost how many catfish will bite. They're expensive, but very worth it when one smoked catfish goes for 900 gold. I've been saving low quality catfish for weeks, so I tossed them all into my bait maker to make catfish bait, then hit the river and got to work. A couple dozen catfish in, I picked up a farming experience book from a treasure chest. That's a big deal for someone still stuck at level 2 farming. I went to the saloon to give gifts and find Pierre for his birthday, but he's strangely absent. Turns out he has a chance of staying home when it's raining. Catfish can't be caught past midnight, giving me a couple hours to prepare bait for tomorrow and smoke more fish. I hit level 3 farming today from that experience book. Day 27. I did manage to finish getting 5 gold star parsnips just in time. The rest of today is another day of fishing. Spring has been pretty dry overall until the very end, because it's also raining tomorrow. I took a pit stop to give Emily a birthday gift, and I also decided to keep upgrading my watering can while the rain is still holding up. Otherwise, I spent all day pulling up dozens and dozens of catfish. I'm gonna be rich when I can smoke all these fish. Day 28. No distractions today. No breaks, just pure catfish. Every minute of every hour. I must have caught over 70 catfish today, and I was holding about 150 fish in my back pocket by midnight. That's a satisfying way to tie a ribbon on spring and move on to summer. I'm actually going to have money and afford things. Summer 1. It's interesting playing a farm where everything fits on one screen. You always have a complete picture in your mind of what the entire farm looks like, and it makes for fun comparisons to see how the space has transformed over time. Summer brings opportunities to get new items for the community center, starting with the fish. I then went to Robin's to upgrade my coop. I was too busy fishing in late spring to purchase my first animals, but I'll get that going right away as soon as I make some more money, which means I'll need to expand my number of fish smokers to process all of the catfish I'm holding onto. For now, I need to get some summer crops in the ground, so I stocked up on a variety of seeds at Pierre's and got those planted. Now, I could really use more sea jellies to craft additional fish smokers, so I figured I'd try a summer-specific fishing technique. The training rod is restricted to hooking low difficulty fish, of which there are none in the oceans during summertime. This reduces the list of possible catches down to seaweed, trash, and sea jelly, and getting fish out of the way means the rate of sea jelly is way higher than it would normally be. Well, in theory, anyway. In practice, I kinda just caught 20 pieces of seaweed. It turns out that jellies are unique. Outside of specifically Floor 100 in the mines, their chance to show up everywhere else is determined by a special random value that only rerolls when you catch a jelly or a fish. If you hook seaweed or trash, you'll never catch a jelly until you land a fish, and since I can't land a fish, I put myself in an infinite loop of jellyless purgatory. Cool. Summer 2. After educating myself on how to get sea jelly, I brought my regular rod and my training rod with the goal of alternating them. Checking for jelly with the boosted rate from my training rod, then catching actual fish to re-roll the odds in between attempts. I spent all day trying this method. and I did catch 2 sea jellies, so at least it's possible. Now I can triple my number of fish smokers and get cracking on that huge pile of catfish. I also caught and smoked the crimson fish today, so I've got some spending money. Summer 3. I landed an early morning sea jelly, which is great, but I didn't get anything else and I'm still struggling to find a pufferfish for the community center, which I've also been looking for. I have some money from smoked fish, so I went from Marnie's to buy a bunch of animals. Animals are needed for community center completion, but I'm personally excited at an opportunity to gain some extra scraps of farming experience, since petting your animals is worth 5 XP, and getting animal products like eggs is 5 more. This isn't a fast or good way to gain farming experience on a normal farm, but since my cropland is so limited, it's comparatively much higher. I'm not done buying animals though, since I can also just barely fit in a barn at the bottom of the farm. I'll need to upgrade that barn all the way, since I'll need cows, a goat, and a pig for various community center bundles. I've ran out of cave jellies, so I spent the evening at floor 100 of the mines and pulled up 3 more, since whatever weird logic that applies to sea jelly doesn't happen here, so catching trash doesn't get in the way of hooking my next jelly and I can quickly get hooks with deluxe bait, rather than switching to a slow, unbaited training rod. Summer 4. I'm trying to get myself to at least half a dozen smokers before I move on from hunting jellies. I didn't get anything all morning, but around 3 PM I suddenly pulled up 2 sea jellies as well as that missing pufferfish I need for the specialty fish bundle. I realized I forgot to bring a birthday gift for Jazz, so I ran past her and went home to get a smoked fish. But when I left home, I forgot that Marnie locks her door long before sundown and won't let me inside. This mistake ended up being a blessing in disguise, because while smoked fish are a near universally liked gift, Jazz is one of the exceptions that hates most artisan goods. I would have lost 320 points of friendship if that door wasn't locked. Everybody say, thank you Marnie. I have a lot of fish smokers now, so I moved them inside of the furnaces. Thanks to expanding my number of smokers, I'm making a comfortable income while working through my backlog of catfish. Summer 5. Time to make some big progress in the community center. I caught a red snapper, a summer fish that requires rain, and took what I had to the community center, filling in some of the required items and completing both of the ocean fish and lake fish bundles. And since I have money on hand, I can also complete the vault, which will finally unlock the bus to the desert which I've been waiting on for some time. I need to prepare for the Skull Caverns, so I'm going to gather coal and iron for crafting bombs and explosive ammunition. My 6 fish smokers are working pretty fast, so I made my money back real quick selling 3 dozen catfish. Summer 6. I found a pomegranate in my fruit bat cave, which is wonderful since that's needed for the Enchanter's bundle. I'm noticing that lightning might be a problem. I've tucked away lightning rods in various edges and corners of the farm, but all of them filled up in one storm and I don't want to lose crops to lightning strikes because I don't have enough rods. I'll put a few more down. My animals are starting to produce eggs, since my baby chicks have grown into chickens. Still waiting on those ducks and that dinosaur. Since my barn is all finished, I went to Marnie's and ordered some cows. I'm glad I can come to the desert now. Coconuts make for great gifts for Haley and Linus. Also, the desert merchant has some useful trades. I'm going to exchange spring seeds for winter seeds so I can grow winter forage once I unlock the greenhouse, which should help me finish the community center without waiting for winter to roll around. I can also finally trade in that prismatic shard I've been holding for the galaxy sword, which is easily the best weapon I can get my hands on for now. Time to buy some supplies for the Skull Cavern. First, I'll get a very welcome backpack upgrade, then slide over 30 smoked catfish to Pierre for some more spending money. I want plenty of food for healing and coffee to boost my walk speed, so I spent a lot of money at the saloon. I also need coal to craft explosives, so I spent a bit more at Clint's, and I have just enough left over to get myself an upgrade to my barn from Robin. I crafted a nice pile of bombs, then ran to the mines to reach floor 120 and pick up the skull key. I'm good to go to the Skull Cavern whenever, but I'll wait for a day with good daily luck before entering. Summer 7. Daily luck is low today, so no cavern run. But it's raining, so it's not a bad day for fishing if I want to earn money. Catfish are normally limited to spring and fall, but they're actually year-round, specifically in the pond in the secret woods, so I went and pulled up several dozen more catfish to smoke, and, hilariously, I got another dinosaur egg. I'm already incubating one of those. Summer 8 has good luck today, so I'll go ahead and teleport over to the desert once I've fed my animals. I'll be spending a lot of time in the Skull Caverns from now on for a few reasons. Iridium ore is one of the best ways I can earn money by selling iridium bars, and several monsters exclusive to the caverns are needed for monster eradication goals. I'd also like to find some more prismatic shards, since you can exchange 3 prismatics for a magic rock candy once per week on Thursdays at the Desert Trader. and I want to do that every week. I'd usually stay out mining all night, but I left the cavern around 11 PM, since today is Gus's birthday and the saloon closes at midnight. That being said, I did earn myself 3 prismatic shards, and I'll make future Skull Cavern runs go much deeper than this one did and start aiming for a minimum of 500 iridium ore per run. I hit both level 9 and level 10 mining today, since iridium ore grants ridiculous amounts of experience. Now I can craft crystallariums, a great source of gems for trading and gifts, and the blacksmith profession lets me sell iridium bars for a fat 1500 gold each. Summer 9. I've made more furnaces to process iridium and I'm getting some crystallariums made. Today was a very miscellaneous chores kind of day. I gave out gifts to most villagers, ran to the museum, and spent some odd hours of the evening working on my foraging skill. I hit a notable milestone today. Since petting my animals has taken me to level 4 farming, I can finally craft preserves jars with which to process Legend Row. Nice. Summer 10th. I got 10k in the mail for reaching floor 25 in the Skull Cavern. Somebody tell him I've gone past 100. Before I forget, I should fish up the fish unique to the desert, since sandfish are needed for the specialty fish bundle, and I want a scorpion carp for my fishing log. I've got plenty of money, so I bought an upgrade to the gold axe and purchased plenty of coal to restock. While I'm buying stuff, let's upgrade my coop to a deluxe coop. I don't explicitly need one, since Rabbit's Foot for the community center can drop in the Skull Cavern, but I do want the auto feeder that comes with the upgrade so I don't have to put down a trough of hay every morning for the birds. I forgot to bring Maru a birthday gift, so I had to run home and run back. I loaded up my inventory with some items for the community center, finishing the exotic foraging bundle, summer foraging bundle, and specialty fish bundle. I tried fishing for super cucumber in the evening, which are quite valuable, but a little annoying to catch and limited to the evening hours, so they're less convenient than catfish on a rainy day. Summer 11 is the luau. Providing a high-quality ingredient for the communal soup grants roughly half a heart of friendship with all villagers, which is definitely worth it for me. Attending the festival takes up most of the day, so I almost forgot to swing by the desert and pick up my weekly magic rock candy. Definitely the best mining food by a mile. Summer 12. I'm going to spend some money, starting with a gold pickaxe, some more coal, which I never have enough of, some new animals for my barn, including 3 new cows and a goat, plus a restock of salad and coffee, since I'm at the point where I have speed boosting food and drinks active pretty much 100% of the time I'm walking around. It lets me get more things done during the day. I happen to hit level 8 foraging from a secret woods run today. I'm about halfway there in terms of total foraging experience needed, so it's going to take a lot more daily runs to the secret woods. Summer 13. My diligent runs to the museum have put in enough work to unlock the rusty key for the sewers. My first crop of fertilized melons have grown in. This is another one of the crops I need 5 of at gold star quality for the quality crops bundle, so I'm going to repeat my cheesy parsnip method and only pick the good ones each day. I'll be doing the same thing for a couple stalks of corn I've planted by my chests. My farming level is higher these days, so the chance is much higher for crops to roll gold quality than back in spring. I need money for another barn upgrade, but I've got some smoked fish and aged roe on hand, which is pretty valuable. I'll top that off by selling some of my extra iridium bars to Clint. I can always go get more. Now that my pockets are full to bursting with cash, I'm going to go spend it all on wood, stone, and a deluxe barn. I'd also like the recipe for big chests so that my current storage doesn't overflow, and any remaining cash got spent on more raw materials. I've been much more diligent about handing out gifts recently, since I have more money and resources than I used to, and I'm getting serious about getting 2 gifts to every villagers every week to build up some friendship. I needed something to do in the evening, so I grabbed a few more catfish since it happened to be raining today, and got jump scared by Bigfoot running right in front of me. I should have brought a camera and taken a blurry photo. Between my furnaces, smokers, and crystallariums, I'm genuinely starting to run out of space indoors. Summer 14 is the green rain, so I spent all day hacking away at weeds for moss and chopping down trees for foraging experience. Today is the only day you can really gather moss in bulk, and it's really slow to obtain otherwise. It's kind of a weird resource. I somehow hit combat level 9 from a slime in the secret woods, which was funny. I should make one of those iridium bands for myself. Summer 15. I'm completing a couple bundles today. First, the night fishing bundle, thanks to a walleye I got a little early from the traveling cart. My summer crops have grown in, so I can finish that bundle as well, and I put in a couple extra items I had on me. I went hard on gifts today, particularly since I got that rare bulletin board quest from Emily to speak to everybody for a small universal boost to friendship. and since I'm running to the recently unlocked sewers now to start befriending Krobus, I can buy some daily solar essence for crafting mega bombs and an iridium band. I'm going to need apples for the fodder bundle, so I purchased an apple sapling from Pierre. Due to an embarrassing misconception, I thought fruit trees had to be planted on farmable dirt, not just grass like other trees, so I had waited for my summer crops to grow in, planning on clearing them out afterwards to make room for a tree. Imagine having only a few tiles of farmland and choosing to waste some of them. I also purchased a bouquet, since my friendships are starting to get high enough that I can start dating. Emily was super easy to build to 8 hearts since she had an early spring birthday and her favorite gifts include fairly cheap common gemstones. Plus, she's usually at home or working at the saloon, so she's really easy to find, and I ended up dating her mostly because it's convenient, and you can earn a star drop by getting married, which is part of reaching 100% completion. I had another moment of confusion regarding my apple sapling, since tilled dirt isn't valid for fruit trees, but untilled dirt is. You can untill dirt with a pickaxe, but Clint's upgrading mine, and I didn't figure out that other tiles on the farm would be valid due to the clearance requirements and how crowded everything already is. I got a random crop fairy overnight, which I didn't exactly need, but it sure felt nice to grow the flowers I planted for free. Also, tending to my animals has taken me to level 5 farming, which is nice. Summer 16. Today was another gift-heavy day, followed by an evening in the mines gathering coal and other resources for explosives. I've been slowly chipping away at the task to kill 500 dust sprites, but that one takes a bit to finish. My daily secret woods run got me to level 9 foraging today, so progress towards level 10 skills is going well. Summer 17 rolled very good luck, so I'm making it a Skull Cavern day. Unlike the last time I was here, I have a magic rock candy for a stronger luck boost, and I'm going to keep mining until 2 AM. My goal is to earn 500 or more iridium ore, which I can sell for 150k gold after processing it into bars. Iridium becomes very common the deeper you go, so the Skull Caverns gets exponentially better as a moneymaker the better you get at doing cavern runs. I burned for basically my entire stack of explosives, but otherwise had a fantastic run that took me past floor 200 and earned me huge piles of ore and 8 prismatic shards. Summer 18. It's starting to get really crowded inside my little house, so I went to Robin's to order a house upgrade, but she's not home and I'm not sure why. Turns out she's at her yearly doctor's appointment instead of running her shop today. But as I was processing my ore into bars, I really did feel like I wanted some extra space in here, so I went back into her house just before the shop normally closes and waited an hour by the cash register to catch Robin walking back inside from her appointment. It's probably not intended behavior, but you can briefly access shops outside of their normal hours from the cash register as long as the relevant NPC is crossing nearby, even if they aren't behind the counter. Since today is a Thursday, I did remember to purchase my weekly magic rock candy for my next cavern dive. In general, I'm going to be making a really good income off of these Skull Cavern runs since I'm going to be steadily producing and selling iridium bars as my new primary moneymaker. Summer 19. I started my morning by making myself a nice little iridium band. Since I've completed all of the coop and barn upgrades and have more animal types available, I went ahead and purchased both a rabbit and a pig from Marnie. I want their items for the community center and for my items shipped collection log. Today happens to be Demetrius's birthday. He loves ice cream, so it's easy to find him a good gift. I wasn't quite sure what to do with the rest of my day, so I decided to grab some fish I haven't caught for filling out my fishing log, including the mutant carp from the sewers as well as rare fish from the mines, the ice pip and the stonefish. I got that all done sooner than expected and spent the rest of my day working on my monster eradication goals. I've been selling a lot of iridium bars, so money has become fairly easy to come by. Summer 20. Today and tomorrow are part of a mini festival, the Trout Derby, which I'm going to be participating in, not out of necessity but just for fun. I need to fill in some of the missing river fish from my fishing log like the pike and dorado, and this is also a convenient time to stock up on iridium quality smoked fish for gifting while I work on catching enough trout to fill in the full list of possible rewards from the Trout Derby. The rewards aren't anything special, but farm warp totems are always welcome, and I've been wearing my current hat for some time now, so let's switch things up and wear this bucket hat for a little while. Summer 21. My house is bigger. I've got an additional bedroom space and a kitchen. Now that I have a kitchen, I've been thinking more about the collection logs in the evening, as one thing the game tracks is each recipe you've cooked, and I've been saving a chest full of various ingredients for some time. I'm not going to have most of the recipes unlocked prior to getting the Queen of Sauce cookbook, but as part of doing a little bit of everything on this farm, I'll make an earnest effort to cook every recipe I can easily get my hands on. I finally finished slaying 500 dust sprites today for the monster eradication task, which earns me the very convenient burglar's ring, which doubles the amount of loot dropped from monsters, which is very nice if you're farming resources like coal or solar essence. I wish I had 3 ring slots, since I wear the savage ring and an iridium band. I then took an overview of my progress on the monster eradication task list. It's coming along, but I'll have to spend a lot more time in the Skull Cavern to knock out mummies, serpents, and Pepper Rex. Summer 22, another gift-heavy day, which earned me the popular achievement for reaching 5 hearts of 20 villagers. I then went to the mines to get materials for crafting explosives for my next Skull Cavern run, and to test out the burglar's ring, which makes coal drop like candy from dust sprites. Steadily taking care of my animals over time has taken me to level 6 farming. Still behind my other skills, but it's not as comically low as it used to be. Summer 23. I'm starting to rethink the use of my interior space so I can fit in more furnaces and crystallariums in the future. I went to the Skull Cavern today, not to do a full run, but to equip the burglar's ring and work on monster eradication goals. Repeatedly entering and exiting floor 1 of the cavern is a great way to quickly locate monsters or resources I need like gold ore to make mega bombs. This is also a very quick way of getting bulk solar and void essences for mega bomb crafting, since mummies and serpents drop piles of the stuff when you've got the burglar's ring equipped. I hit level 10 combat today, which is a nice free boost to my damage output while working on the remaining monster eradication goals. Summer 24. It's raining today, which means a mermaid's pendant is for sale, which I can use to propose to Emily now that I've reached a full 10 hearts. I wanted to spend most of my day in the Skull Cavern hunting monsters, but both floors 1 and 2 were infested by slimes, which made it really difficult to hunt for not slimes, so I didn't get a lot done today. Summer 25. I'm still making progress on community center bundles, and since my rabbit has grown up and produced wool, I finished the animal bundle. I'm thinking it might be a nice idea to upgrade the size of my house again since Emily is going to be moving in, and she might be unhappy if I fill every square inch of the home with furnaces. I spent the rest of my day grinding mummies and serpents in the cavern for their respective monster eradication goals and gathering up any gold ore I happened to come across while doing so. Gold ore and gold bars have become a shockingly limited resource for me, since I need 4 gold ore to craft 1 mega bomb and I need 5 gold bars to craft each crystallarium, and I really like having a lot of crystallariums. I'm producing diamonds to give as gifts and trade for coffees at the Desert Merchant, I make rubies to trade for spicy eels to boost speed and luck, and I'd like to mass produce jades to trade for staircases for deep Skull Cavern runs. My burglar's ring got me some very interesting loot today, including 2 red cabbage seeds. A very rare and somewhat infamous drop, as red cabbage is needed for community center completion, while being unavailable for regular purchase until year 2. Summer 26 had a very special item available in the traveling cart, a nautilus shell, which is needed for the field research bundle and is difficult to obtain before they naturally spawn on the beach in winter. With a nautilus shell on hand and red cabbage seeds awaiting the greenhouse, I'm looking all set to complete the community center partway through fall. The rest of the day was spent on a proper Skull Cavern run. I didn't get the best RNG when finding shafts, but I still managed to pull in 500 iridium ore and a few prismatic shards, as well as a healthy pile of copper, iron, and gold ores. Summer 27. I got married today, in my overalls and a bucket hat. Maybe I should have dressed nicer? Now that Emily has moved in, she's added a cute little room to the right side of the house. I made a lot of progress on community center bundles today. I started by finishing up the artisan bundle, a rabbit's foot from the Skull Cavern finished the enchanter's bundle, and I put in the nautilus shell for the field research bundle as well. The bookseller is in town today, so I bought myself a few books to read. He also has some interesting trade-ins. If you're lucky, he'll offer sea jelly for Jewels of the Sea, but it's a 1/3 chance. I've expanded my number of furnaces to where they're encroaching on Emily's space. I'm going to make a lot of money off these iridium bars. It feels like every time I earn myself some money, I find a way to spend it all the next day. Summer 28. My house has gotten even bigger. While not much has changed outdoors recently on the farm, my farmhouse has been rapidly evolving over the last week. It's not long ago that I was basically crammed into a little shoebox filled with stuff. This house is bigger than my farm is. The gifting week resets on Sundays, so it's going to be yet another gift-heavy kind of day. There's also a festival to look forward to close out summer, and think about how far I've come on my little farm as I look forward to finishing my big goal of completing the community center sometime in fall. Fall 1, another big change of season. I'm not the biggest fan of how orange and red everything is. While giving out gifts, I stopped by Pierre's to pick out a selection of various fall seeds, and since I have plenty of money from selling iridium, I'm going to start buying coal from Clint in the hundreds to keep stocked up on explosive ammo and keep the furnaces running. My friendships are coming along quite well. I don't plan to take anyone past 8 hearts, since completing the bulletin board bundles in the community center grants 2 full hearts of everyone. It took a while for me to notice, but a lightning strike sometime in summer took out the ancient fruit plant that was hiding behind my scarecrow, which is a bummer. I did get a few fruits out of it, which I can toss in a seed maker once I get my hands on one. For now, I'll grow a rare seed in its place. I finished the monster eradication goal for mummies this evening, so that's one more task to scratch off the list. Fall 2nd, I went and did a Skull Cavern run and found a dark cowboy hat, which I like slightly more than the bucket hat I've been wearing, so I'll put that on for now. I managed to get my usual 500 iridium ore again today, so that's going to be another 150k worth of iridium bars for the bank. Fall 3. Some spreading weeds killed one of my plants and delayed the growth of my apple tree, which is mildly annoying. Now that it's fall, the weekly town quest board has gone up, some of which can have interesting rewards, but the options for this week are pretty unexciting. I can't even get 80 hardwood during the rest of the week, since I already went to the secret woods today. I opened a lot of geodes and treasure troves today, so the museum's collection is starting to look pretty full. Speaking of collections, fall means new fish to add to my fishing log, starting with the angler. I also ran down to the beach and picked up the albacore before getting the midnight carp from the mountain lake. Fall 4. I continued my little quest for fish I haven't caught by heading to the waterfall spot to pick up a salmon and a goby. I'm holding over 100k in gold, and I'd like to irresponsibly spend that, so it's time to look into house renovations. Modular expansions to the home unlocked once your house gets big enough. It does seem to be a bit picky, however. I decided to explore an open concept floor plan and added a new corner room. I also wanted to put a shed on my farm for some cheap indoor space, but it just barely doesn't fit. Maybe in the future, once I no longer need animals, I'll replace my barn with a large shed. Now I could fit a cabin down in that space, but those can feel a little cheesy if you're not playing multiplayer. If I wanted more animals, I could even fit a coop down there, but instead of going mass animals for farming XP, I think I'll wait to unlock the greenhouse which grants the garden pot recipe, as indoor farming crops is going to grant easier and quicker experience. In the end, I actually built a second fish pond. Not for any practical reason, but just because I like the aesthetics of it. If I play the save file long enough, I suppose I could use a blue discus pond to get bananas sooner than I could from growing a banana tree from scratch. I made 100k in sales today. I'm probably going to buy more house renovations. Fall 5. I had a great Skull Cavern run today, getting over 600 iridium, but I am perpetually out of gold ore, having used every scrap I had to craft mega bombs on the go. Fall 6. I hit level 7 farming for my daily coop run, and level 10 foraging from a random hazelnut on my way to Robin. That's all non-farming skills to level 10. I'd love to get farming to 10 as well, but I think that's probably out of the scope of this video since I'll only unlock the greenhouse shortly before finishing the community center. I feel like I'm in a cycle of similar tasks, farming explosives, doing Skull Cavern runs, and giving gifts. I'd like to do something new and really transform my living space. I added a southern room to my house, then ran to Pierre's to buy the catalog, which supplies you with infinite wallpaper and flooring decorations. I've still got a lot of money, so I'll buy a few hundred more coal off of Clint, and run back to Robin to add that little cubby space by the front door. I'm going to start putting effort into redecorating the interior as I expand and build up this farmhouse into an all-in-one home base full of everything I could want, since my space outdoors is so sharply limited compared to this expansive home. I'm still deciding on the specifics, but I'll fill up the southern room full of crystallariums, and I've defined a specific forage area for my furnaces. Since it's raining today, I can add a walleye to my fishing collection log, and I needed to head to the river at some point anyway to get a tiger trout, the last fish I'll need to finish the fish tank bundles in the community center. Fall 7. I figured I'd buy the star drop off of Krobus in the middle of my gift run. After doing a round of gifts, I went to solve my crippling gold ore problem by repeatedly resetting floor 1 of the caverns to scout, picking up around 240 gold ore and also finishing up the monster eradication goal for serpents. Mega bombs can be purchased for 1500 gold or 5 iridium ore each, but that's expensive. Those 60 bombs I just made would have cost me 90k. I sold nearly 100 iridium bars today, which made me a lot of money. Fall 8. I've been having a lot of trouble getting my pig to drop truffles, probably because the other animals are crowding the narrow bit of space outdoors. I'm going to downsize my barn a bit. Cows don't make much money, and I've gotten everything I need from them, and I'll transition towards garden pot crops as a way to earn farming experience. The town quest board reset and I found a fun one with a unique reward, so I'll do that. The bookseller is also back in town, so I'll pick up a farming EXP book and another movement speed book. Speaking of farming, since sprinklers don't work on indoor garden pots, I'm upgrading my watering can all the way to iridium. I then went to check my rewards from the Adventurers Guild, since it's been some time since I stopped by. I don't care enough to discuss the new ring since I'm juggling valuable ring slots as is, but I'll wear the new hat. I forgot to check earlier, but I ran back to the bookseller because he's offering a trade-in for sea jellies, so if I ever go back to fishing, I can potentially upgrade to over a dozen fish smokers. That would be very useful if I play this file long enough to reach Ginger Island, where lava eels are quite plentiful. I spent the evening in the mines using the elevator to quickly scout for ghosts, and it wasn't long until that ectoplasm needed for the town quest dropped. I actually got 2 thanks to the burglar's ring, which I'm not sure is supposed to happen. Fall 9. I mostly worked on monster eradication goals today, finishing both skeletons and duggies. I don't have very many tasks left, mostly just bats, slimes, and pepper rex. Fall 10. The ectoplasm quest rewarded a new crafting recipe to try. Today's an exciting day because I finished growing a pumpkin, which means bundle time. First, I took my tiger trout to the community center to finish the river fish bundle, the last fish I needed to restore the fish tank. I also finished the chef's bundle, then took my crops over to the pantry for the fall crops bundle and the quality crops bundle, restoring the pantry room, which will critically unlock the greenhouse tomorrow and greatly expand my ability to grow crops for farming experience. The largest remaining monster eradication goal is 1000 slimes, but I'm about to show you that it's really not that bad. I drank a monster musk I got from the bookseller to double monster spawns, and today happens to have a slime-infested floor on floor 61, right next to an elevator floor with a free ladder, so I can just repeatedly load in floor 61 over and over. Those big slimes sometimes split into several smaller slimes, and all those tiny slimes also get tallied up for the overall goal of 1k slimes. I didn't quite finish the big goal today, but I'm really close and can finish up any time. Fall 11. Let's check out the greenhouse. I can finally plant more crops. What the hell is this? Getting a normal greenhouse would have been too easy, so the Impossible farm comes with a discount greenhouse from Temu. The sign left by the mod creator promised 24 additional tiles of dirt for planting, but it was actually bugged. I had to open a tile editor and fix 3 of the dirt tiles that were incorrectly flagged as not diggable. I'll argue that this is fair game, since the sign was pretty clear about how the greenhouse was supposed to work. I don't have a seed maker yet to plant ancient fruit, so I'm mostly growing crops I need for the community center or for recipes. I planted winter seeds to get a crocus and a snow yam for the winter forage bundle, and red cabbage seeds for the pesky dye bundle. Unlocking the greenhouse enables a cutscene soon afterwards that lets you craft garden pots to grow additional crops indoors, so I'm stocking up on some more deluxe speed grow and valuable starfruit seeds for my future enterprise. I also need a lot of refined quartz to craft garden pots, so I'm changing out my crystallariums to duplicate fire quartz to help me prepare dozens of refined quartz. I went to the Skull Cavern planning to repeatedly reset floor 1 to look for gold ore in the previously overlooked quartz, and kinda ended up playing for real after getting a couple freebie chefs. I finished the task to slay 1000 slimes on the way, since I was really close after yesterday, and found some excellent loot from treasure rooms, an auto petter for my animals, as well as a seed maker, which you normally can't craft until level 9 farming, which is currently beyond me. Fall 12. The cutscene for the garden pot unlock didn't happen this morning. Maybe because of the rain? For fun, I decided to make 2 mini obelisks, my reward from the ectoplasm quest, which you can use to teleport around the farm. This doesn't really matter since my farm is so tiny. I then kinda just killed mummies all day for more solar essence so I can craft more bombs. I now have 6 curiosity lures from mummies, which feels a bit excessive. Fall 13. A lightning strike took down one of my tapped oak trees. Mildly annoying. Still no garden pot recipe, so I googled the problem just to learn that the Joja route I've been using for most videos gets you garden pots right away, but the community center is arbitrarily worse and delays the garden pot cutscene by several days for unexplained reasons. I feel like I've been doing a lot of the same things lately, so for a bit of variety, I went to floor 100 to get some cave jellies to match all the sea jellies I've gotten recently, in case I ever want to mass produce more fish smokers. This went surprisingly well, since I pulled up half a dozen cave jellies and lava eels. Fall 14. I did a Skull Cavern run, but this time I'm going to cash in the jade I've mass producing to trade for staircases, letting me freely skip floors whenever I want. I found several of those rare prehistoric floors, so I must have killed around 20 pepper rex today, which gets me close to my goal of 50, but I'm still a couple short. Even with the dinosaur-related delays, today was my best run for iridium ore to date, mining up over 700 iridium and 10 whole prismatic shards. Fall 15. The garden pot recipe finally triggered. I'm gonna make 100 of them, and start farming on a scale unlike anything before. I need to water them myself, as sprinklers can't water pots, so let's pull up my sprinklers and surround my crops with pots in easily waterable configurations, while still giving myself room to walk around the greenhouse. I've added 44 pots to the greenhouse, which is already more crops than I can plant in the entirety of the dirt in the greenhouse and outdoors combined. But I got plenty more space indoors to fill up with some pots. I don't even have all of the housing upgrades yet. I'll start with 100 pots for now though, since I'll need clay to craft more, and that's tricky to get in bulk before Ginger Island. I have some clay left over, but not much. I'd like to do a bit of decoration, so I put down some wooden pathways around the greenhouse. I wanted to plant tea saplings for decoration as well, but it won't let me place them outside the dirt or a pot, which isn't normally a problem. I wonder if the greenhouse is bugged. The grass in there might be configured against trees to prevent you from easily growing fruit trees. Fall 16. My winter forage seeds grew in, so I can now complete one of the few remaining bundles. I just need a red cabbage and a couple apples and I'll have the community center complete. Today is the Stardew Valley Fair, and I've taken the time to set aside some items to put out for a display. You get points for placing items of different categories, but only up to 6 types, so it's okay to spam a few prismatic shards or other valuable items. You need to score 90 points to get first place, which I overshot considerably. To earn the rest of the tokens to buy all the rewards, I wagered about half my tokens on green and repeatedly spun the wheel until I had enough. This looks like a 50-50 shot, but you're 70% likely to land on green, so just keep betting half your tokens until you're rich. I feel like this is maybe the wrong lesson to teach your children. I've been thinking about the comfy natural lighting of the greenhouse at night, particularly if you aren't wearing some kind of glow ring, so I decided to add a couple campfires for the vibe and put down a little grass here and there for the look. Fall 17. I was timing it so that my apple tree would produce by now, but I lost time to weed spawning that stole a couple days of growth. My red cabbages are done though, so we're very close to finishing the community center. As a side note, rainy days do water the greenhouse since it's technically outdoors, which saves me time in the morning when I water all pots. I don't explicitly need it, but I decided to upgrade to an iridium axe as part of my general philosophy to accomplish a little bit of everything. I'll want to expand my number of indoor garden pots in the future, so I went and added another room to my house at Robin's. I also found a new quest on the town quest board, which is pretty easy since I do have gems and I usually know where Emily is. After doing a round of gifts for villagers, I took my stuff to the community center to finish up some bundles, putting in a hazelnut for the fall forage bundle, as well as a crocus and snow yam for the winter forage bundle, completing the crafts room. All I need now is just a couple apples and we're done. I made some more pots with the rest of my clay, but I'll keep them empty until my first starfruit harvest to keep them all in sync. Day 18. I forgot to fertilize one of my starfruit plants and it's driving me insane that it's not in sync. My apple tree has finally become fully grown, so we're just about done. After giving out a round of gifts, I decided to check out the just unlocked quarry. It's mostly just full of random rocks, but it's kind of fun to blow up with bombs. I also went inside the quarry cave just to check it out and get the golden scythe. Even though it doesn't really do anything for me, it's better at cutting the grass I don't have. Since I'm close to wrapping things up, let's check in on my monster eradication list. I got almost everything done, except for the annoyingly rare Pepper Rex, as well as the question monster, which is exclusive to Ginger Island and not currently accessible. Day 19. The last apple I need has grown. There are a couple things I can do real quick before completing the community center. I grew a sweet gemberry from a rare seed, so that earns me a star drop in the secret woods. Not much point in wasting more time though, so after a couple stray gifts for villagers, I went to the bulletin board and put in 3 apples, completing my goal of finishing the community center on the supposedly impossible farm. But thinking back on my journey up to this point, I've done so much more than just complete the community center. I've been exploring all aspects of what this game has to offer, despite being so restricted in what I'm allowed to do. My farm outdoors might be small, but I've filled it with buildings and trees over the seasons. I've also earned myself a greenhouse and either planted or decorated every available tile. But perhaps the biggest transformation lately has been my humble farmhouse, which was once a cute little apartment is expanding into a productive home base that's slowly growing into an indoor farming empire. It's been a joy to build and expand everything I can and really value each tile of space afforded to me, and playing Stardew under these restrictions while going for broad and diverse goals has helped me learn how to slow down a bit and remember why I fell in love with this game in the first place. Let's take a further look at the progress I've made. I never did finish leveling my farming skill, but many of my friendships reached the full 10 hearts after finishing the bulletin board. A lot of these are lower than I expected, since I forgot bachelors don't get the 2 heart bonus from community center completion. Sorry for leaving y'all hanging at 6 hearts. I also filled out as many slots of the collection logs as I could, making an earnest attempt to ship one of each item as I went. I'd love to keep playing this farm and pursue 100% completion as I continue my journey towards Ginger Island. So if you're still watching and want to see more of this, let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in a follow-up video where I take the impossible farm to full perfection. But for now, my original goal of finishing the community center has been completed, so I'll be seeing you in the next video. Cheers.